Alright, Big Wolf, Season 3, Episode 2. Everybody Fang Chung tonight. You know, like the vampire episodes with the Fang, Fangs for the memories in the first one. In the first season, and now everybody Fang Chung tonight in this one. Merton is hosting a radio program called Goth Beat, radio station in the school that we've never seen before, never seen again. But he's hosting it called Goth Beat. Doesn't have many fans, but he does have one fan, and that is Christina, who asked him out on a date. People, if somebody asks you out on a date over the radio or over the internet, say no. You know who they are. You can get in a lot of trouble with something like that. She could be underage. She could be someone luring you. Look at the sex drive, alright? Sex drive. He drives halfway across the country to meet Miss Tasty, and it's a trick. Just to steal his car. It's not even his car. The judge is his brother's car. But you see what I mean. Don't do that. You gotta know the person first, Even internet dating is not exactly the way it should be. I think you can still get catfished. Excuse me. But yes, this does come back to bite in the ass, but she asks him out and he says yes. She says, my friend Christina needs a date. And he's like, I have a friend, it's Tommy, but he's training him to pretend to be a goth. And he says, what's your favorite movie? He says, Where's My Car? He goes, no, you have to say it is Nosferatu. But we'll just say Blade. Blade rocked! And so, yes, this double date does not work out well for Merton and Catherine. Catherine and Christina are the two girls. Also, they are vampires. She reveals this to Merton. They are Kobayasku vampires. They only eat something. Long pig, that's human. Long bull, or something like that. A fancy name for werewolf that Merton doesn't know is werewolf. We find out that it is werewolf later, but yeah. And Christina wants nothing to do with Tommy. He's a jock. He's not goth-like. Because they wanted a goth friend for her, but so Merton finds out that they're vampires. He's nervous, but he tells Tommy and Lori, after promising not to tell Tommy and Lori, he does. And they're like, we gotta stake them. And he's like, no, they're Kobayashi vampires. What's that mean? Well, I don't know. I'm really hot or something like that. And he's like, Tommy's like, okay, when are we going out again? He's like, so Lori, how have you been doing? He's like, what? Do you want to go out with me? He's like, nah. Didn't work out with her. So, yeah. So Merton goes over to Catherine and Christina's house. Christina is out. They're alone, and he's kind of nervous. Sprays himself with garlic. I might need a breath mint. But he's nervous because she's a vampire. He's like, I don't eat humans, so you should be nervous, but He's like, well, he's like, why don't we find a way to cure you? She's like, the only way to cure me is to stake I have to stake the vampire who bit me. That always fluctuates. Sometimes it's the person who was bitten has to stake the one who bit them. Sometimes it's just anyone stakes that vampire, or the vampire's leader in case of whatever blood you drink in the case of the Lost Boys. But there's no movie reference here for that anyway. But yes, so the other solution is to turn Merton into a vampire. And Christina shows up after this, after having an encounter with Tommy at Osmodeus, and where he reveals himself as a werewolf, and she freaks out and doesn't pounce on him right away. She goes back to Christina to tell her that Osmodeus is a werewolf. And Merton's like, you can't bite Osmodes. He's a good werewolf. They go, Merton, we need to survive. He's like, I will not let you. And then Christina bites him, turning him into a vampire, which she didn't know about, them talking about him being turned into a vampire, but I don't know. So just how it works. And so now he's a Kobayashi vampire. Tommy is now covering for Merton on the goth beat, where he's going to talk about, dude, where's my car? You think that Tommy would have a sports movie like Rocky or The Replacements that came out recently. I don't know. I guess a sports movie, but where's my car? Sounds like a movie Tommy would like, so I get it. So they go. The three vampires now show up to go after Tommy because the werewolf. Excuse me, vampire. Werewolf eating vampires, what I'm trying to say. Excuse me. So, Merton is now evil. Sort of. He's like, I'm betting on the side of evil tonight. Yeah. And he can't fly right away. So he crashes into a lock where a book lands on him. He's like, Spanish book. Spanish Inquisition. Because we find out that earlier I had to mention the vampire that bit Catherine was killed during the Spanish Inquisition, which I remember when I first watched this, I'm like, well, doesn't that mean she shouldn't be a vampire anymore? And I realized you have to, if you are bit, you have to stake the one who bit you. So that's how it works. It's not just that vampire is killed, which it should work that way, but technical stuff. Because Christina's the one that bit him, by accident, Merton stakes her because he has like a stake. And Tommy flings Christina into him. Dust everywhere. She's staked. And so only Catherine left. Merton says, I'll take care of it. And we are led to believe that he stakes her off camera. However, we see the window open. I think we see someone go through it. So you know that she's not gone. And now, for some reason, his heart's not in the goth beat. Maybe he's acting because she's alive, but they never have a relationship, like secretly see each other or anything, which I thought was gonna happen originally, but they don't. He's just, she's gone now. Where did she go? Hi-ho. Yes. I remember watching this episode back when it premiered. I was like, where's she going? And she knocked on the door. The door opens and you hear, hi-ho. I went, yes. It's the Werewolf Syndicate. Bit of a quibble. We do find out later in the season that she took out all of the werewolves that were there. Now, to be fair, the leader, let's say there were dwindling numbers, and we only ever saw like a handful of werewolves there. So, I don't know. But, yes, this was a great little hook at the end of the episode. But, yeah, not a bad episode. I think it's pretty good. I think we'll have at least one more vampire-esque episode in the season. But if you think if you're sitting there going, Scotty, you said the season was going to be weird. These first two episodes are kind of tame. You'd be right. However, we about to get weird.